Meghan McCain stares directly into the camera lens, her brow furrowed. She grips the edge of the mahogany desk, her knuckles turning white. "They are D-list royals," she declares, her voice cutting through the studio air like a blade. The silence that follows is thick, heavy with the weight of her claim. This is not a casual observation. It is a declaration of war on a narrative that has dominated headlines for 3 years. 3 years ago, the world watched a glittering wedding, a spectacle of tradition and hope. Today, the reality is defined by a series of explosive podcasts and tell-all interviews that have burned through public patience. McCain holds the gaze, refusing to blink or soften the impact of her words. She knows the history of the Sussexes as well as the audience does, but she rejects the version they have been selling. The air in the studio feels tight, pressurized by the collision between royal expectations and the relentless pursuit of modern celebrity branding. She shifts her weight, preparing to dismantle the facade piece by piece, leaving no doubt about where she stands on the matter. McCain does not pause to let the insults settle. She reaches into a folder beside her, pulls a thick stack of printed headlines, and slams them onto the mahogany surface. The thud echoes sharp and clear in the quiet studio. She does not look at the camera now. She looks at the paper, tapping a manicured finger against a bold print headline detailing a collapsed production deal. "Look at the numbers," she says, her tone stripped of any lingering performance. The public is tired of the victimhood narrative. She slides the papers toward the center of the desk, exposing a list of failed ventures that stand in stark contrast to the promises made years ago. Each headline serves as a physical barrier between the couple and their former status. She reads a figure aloud, her voice flat, devoid of sympathy. The contrast is visceral, the polished image of the past versus the cold, audited reality of these documents. She leans back, letting the implication hang. The branding has hit a wall, and the data is the evidence of their decline. She has moved beyond the personality clash and into a cold accounting of a brand that no longer delivers. McCain begins the timeline, her voice steady and rhythmic. She traces the path from the departure from the UK to the current moment, noting every public appearance where the atmosphere soured. She recounts the shift clearly. First the cheers, then the audible silence, then the indifference. She cites the sudden cancellation of the Spotify deal as a turning point, listing it as a symptom of a larger, systemic failure. She moves to the memoir, detailing the public backlash that followed its release, treating each event as a brick removed from the foundation of their influence. The studio lights catch the edge of her glasses as she leans forward, closing the distance between herself and the lens. She taps the desk once for emphasis. "It is about the work," she insists, her expression hardening. When the work stops, the title means nothing. She holds the pose, letting the words occupy the space. There is no room for debate in her tone. She emphasizes that the title without the output is an empty vessel, a relic of a position they no longer hold in practice. The pressure in the room rises, the argument narrowing down to the hard, unyielding fact of their professional standing. McCain shifts her focus to the reality of their current existence in California. She describes the silence that now defines their days, not in a palace, but within the walls of a gated mansion. She details a specific industry event, naming the venue and the date, where the couple was reportedly denied an invitation. The image she paints is one of profound isolation, stripped of the influence they once commanded in public spaces. She pauses, her eyes narrow, and she drops her pen onto the desk with a sharp click. It skitters across the mahogany surface and rolls to a stop. She folds her arms, drawing her posture tight, making herself small behind the weight of her own words. "If they are not royals," she says, her voice dropping to a low, deliberate cadence, "and they are not successful producers, what are they?" She holds the silence, letting the question hang in the air between them. The studio seems to shrink around the query. It is a calculated strike at the heart of their brand identity. She does not offer an answer, nor does she blink. She stares through the glass, waiting for the audience to reconcile the two versions of the couple, the global figures of the past and the isolated pair of the present. The silence in the studio stretches, heavy and absolute. McCain does not move. Her face remains a mask of rigid expectation, the camera lens capturing every line of focus around her eyes. She finally breaks the quiet, not with a shout, but with a flat, final statement. The public has moved on, she says. The narrative is exhausted. She turns her head slightly, the studio lights catching the rim of her lenses and casting a shadow across her jaw. There is no warmth in her delivery, only the clinical detachment of an observer marking the end of a long, predictable decline. She stares forward, unmoved, as the production crew begins to dim the overhead lights. The sharp, vibrant colors of the set lose their saturation. The camera begins a slow, deliberate pullback. On the desk, the printed headline she discarded earlier catches the last of the light. It becomes the center of the frame, then softens as the depth of field shifts. The text blurs into illegible gray shapes. The studio lights drop one by one. The ambient hum of the equipment dies away. The screen fades to black, leaving only the cold impression of a brand that has completely lost its grip.